Video for Assignment 72, Math Lesson 11.1. In Unit 11, we are going to be doing a lot of work with solid figures. So before we start digging into that unit, let's take a review of the properties of solid figures. Okay, first of all, can you name these solid figures? Pause this video and see if you can think about where they should all be matched up, and then resume the video. Okay, so now you've thought about where they should be matched up. Let's start with the sphere. Hopefully you realize that this one is the sphere. Now the cube is right here, the rectangular prism that has all square faces. The pyramid belongs right here. The cone here. And then our rectangular prism and our cylinder go here. Okay? Hopefully you remembered the names of all of these solid figures. Now when we talk about, let's talk about prisms for a minute, okay? When we talk about prisms, we know that a prism has two parallel congruent bases. Remember, congruent, equal. So here's a base, here's a base. They're parallel to each other. They're on opposite sides. A prism is named by the shape of its base. This is called a rectangular prism because its base is in the shape of a rectangle. The other faces are always rectangles on the prism. And we'll talk about that later, but even if our base is in the shape of a triangle, if we have a triangular prism, the other faces are still going to be rectangles. Now, every flat side of the prism is called a face. And every place where two faces meet up make an edge. And then every place where edges meet, that's called a vertex. Okay? So this prism here has 6 faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't forget top and bottom, the bases. It has 12 edges. Okay, each one of these is an edge. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Basically, if you were to draw a picture of it, it would be wherever the solid or dotted lines are, that makes an edge. This prism has 8 vertices, okay, because each of these points, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8 vertices and then 2 bases. Every prism has 2 bases. Let's take a look at pyramids for a moment, okay? Now in 5th grade, we don't do a whole lot of work with pyramids, but you should still be familiar with the properties of a pyramid. A pyramid has only one base, okay? And then it has triangular faces. Okay. Now we name the pyramid by the shape of its base. So this base is a square. We call this a square pyramid. It still has edges, and that's where the faces meet, just like in a prism. And it still has vertices. That's where the edges meet up. A pyramid also has a special vertex up here. We can call this a vertex, but we can also call it the apex of the pyramid. Now, this pyramid has 5 faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and don't forget the base, that's a face as well. 5 faces. It has 8 edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has 5 vertices, or those pointy parts where the edges are meeting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 up here, and only 1 base. Now, can you think of 3 solids with curved surfaces? You maybe thought of the sphere, looks like a ball. Can you think of the other 2? We have a cylinder and a cone. Okay. Now, the sphere is the only solid that does not have at least one base. It does not have a flat side. There is no base. Cones are like pyramids. They have only one base, and then they have a vertex or the apex on the other side. Cylinders are similar to prisms because they have two bases that are parallel and congruent. Now, which ones are pyramids? Which ones are prisms? How about this one right here? Prism or pyramid? It has one base and an apex or vertex on the opposite side, so it is a pyramid, right? How about this one right here? Prism or pyramid? Pyramid, correct. How about this one right here? Prism, right. And its base is in the shape of a hexagon, so we call this a hexagonal prism. How about this one right here? Prism or pyramid? Definitely prism. The base is the shape of a rectangle, so it's a rectangular prism. How about this one right here? Right, this is a prism as well. It has a triangular base, so we call it a triangular prism. Remember, pyramids have one base and prisms have two parallel bases. Now, if you were to unfold this box, what would it look like? Can you imagine it in your mind? Okay, that would be one way to unfold this box. Now, what we call this when we have like a picture of an unfolded solid, we call it a net. Get familiar with that word, net, because a lot of the Minnesota State testing materials refer to nets, and this is what they're talking about. This is the net of a rectangular prism. A net is a flat diagram that can be folded to create a solid figure. So we can take this net, fold it up along the lines, and it will make that rectangular prism. Now, I want you to pause this video and match up the solids with the correct nets. And then resume the video to discover if you found the correct answers. So you're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Or you can just jot it down on a piece of scratch paper or match them up in your mind, okay? And then resume the video. Okay, so you should have decided which ones you think belong where. Let's take a look at the answers. Okay, is that how you matched them up? This is the net for the square pyramid. The cube has a net right here. Notice every face is a square. The triangular prism is number 3 here. It has 2 triangular bases and then 3 rectangular faces. The pentagonal prism is right here. That one's kind of a tricky one. And then number 4 here is a tetrahedron. You might not have been familiar with that before, but maybe you were able to figure it out based on eliminating the other possibilities. Okay, good work with your solids.